We call upon you to use your public platforms to educate people about quarantine and what it means, but also to pave the way for those who emerge from quarantine places to be reintegrated back into the community. Our experience with HIV and AIDS epidemic shows that faith communities can play a critical role in breaking the stigma surrounding illness by educating our people.
Well, for more on today's meeting, we cross live to our reporter, Criselda Lewis. Thanks very much for joining us, Criselda. So the president there was unambiguous that the regulations apply to everybody and no one is exempt.
Well, that's right, Nompu, and in addition to the president, of course, calling on church leaders to use their platforms to educate their congregants on COVID-19, the president also acknowledging that some of these churches have already gone out and communicated to their faithful that the Easter Monday and Good Friday services will not be taking place, understanding the importance of the church in all of this, in educating some of their congregants. So some of these churches we've seen over the past week or two, Nompu, have really already sent out statements indicating that they will heed the call by government to ensure, as per the directive of President Cyril Ramaphosa, that there isn't those gatherings more than 100 people. So the president also saying that he does acknowledge that prayer services do form part of the daily, weekly and monthly lives of South Africans. So it couldn't have been an easy feat for some of these churches to cancel these very important gatherings. Let's take a listen to what the president had to say about that.
In the light of the measures announced to encourage social distancing in order to curb new infections, there has been understandable concern expressed by members of the faith community on how this impacts on their work. Attending daily, weekly, and monthly religious services is an integral part of life for millions of our people around the country. We are keenly aware of the important role congregational worship plays in giving solace, comfort, and strength to the men and women and children of South Africa. This is a practice for which we have the utmost respect. It is part of our tradition, part of our rituals, and we respect that. At the same time, we are faced with a stark reality. The undisputed reality is that this virus is spread through human contact. In limiting the size of public gatherings to no more than 100 people, we want to ensure that there is containment of the virus.
Well, the president indicating, of course, a bit earlier on, you would know that that meeting is still happening behind closed doors at this hour. But the president also indicating that there's greater risk to the poor communities, acknowledging that there are still some communities without clean drinking water. And that obviously could pose as a threat, Nompu, given the fact that, some of the measures that we're being asked to use include continuously washing our hands and maintaining hygiene. Let's take a listen to what the president had to say about that particular aspect.
This risk is greater in poor communities, many of which do not have access to safe and clean water, and who are forced by circumstance to live in close proximity to one another. Given the high prevalence of HIV and AIDS and tuberculosis, COVID-19 could have a devastating impact on our society. The Department of Health has developed communication tools that clearly spell out what constitutes hygiene control and what to do to minimize the risk of infection. I encourage you to take and to make use of these and affirm them, not just in services and gatherings, but in your own pastoral work.
All right, and of course, that call for religious leaders to play their part in ensuring that government's national plan to combat the spread of the coronavirus, every single one is on board. You recall that this, of course, is nothing but a series of meetings or engagements that the president has had with quite a number of stakeholders to ensure that every single part of different sectors of society is also playing their part to ensure that they hold hands with government as we try to obviously ensure that there's no continued spread of the coronavirus in South Africa, with that figure standing at 116 currently.
Griselda, my colleague there, Griselda Lewis, reporting at that religious meeting that President Cyril Ramaphosa has been addressing.